Walk to the worst brown patch in your lawn right now. Grab the edge of it. Pull straight up. If that patch lifts off the ground like a piece of carpet with almost no roots holding it, you are not looking at a dead lawn. You are looking at a crime scene. Something underneath has been eating the roots for weeks. The visible damage above ground is the last symptom of a battle the grass already lost. The culprit is grubs. Larvae of Japanese beetles, June bugs, and chafer beetles living 2 inches under the surface, surviving entirely by chewing through grass roots. A healthy lawn has about 5 grubs per square foot. A lawn that lifts like carpet has 50 or more. By the time the brown patches show up, the population has been doubling under your feet for 2 months. Not a $60 bag of chemical grub killer that takes 3 to 6 weeks to work and saturates the soil with neonicotinoids that kill earthworms, beneficial nematodes, ground nesting bees, and predatory beetles along with the grubs, wiping out the entire underground ecosystem to solve one symptom. Not a $200 professional lawn treatment that applies the same chemistry at 10 times the cost and schedules a callback next August because the chemical killed the soil biology that was suppressing the beetles in the first place. There's a $4 kitchen mix. Neem oil, dish soap, blackstrap molasses, and warm water. That collapses grub populations within 24 hours without touching a single beneficial organism. The grubs stop feeding within hours. The population collapses overnight. The brown patches stop spreading by morning. And the soil biology that naturally suppresses the next generation of egg-laying beetles stays alive to do its job next summer. The residential grub control market generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Every dollar depends on one manufactured cycle. The chemical kills the grubs and the microbes. The beetles return to unprotected soil next summer. The homeowner buys another bag. A homeowner who buys grub killer once usually buys it every single year for the rest of their life. A $4 mix that solves the problem and breaks the cycle cannot sustain that revenue model. They did not suppress Neem because it failed. They buried it because a kitchen mix that kills grubs in 24 hours and prevents reinfestation by keeping the soil alive cannot generate a single repeat purchase. This is the story of Neem oil grub control, the $4 mix that breaks the chemical cycle, and the one critical mistake that guarantees the grubs come back worse next year. If these stories matter to you, the subscribe button and the bell are the best way to make sure this knowledge survives. And if you want the complete protocol with all 60 hacks that save households over $4,000 a year, the link is in the description. Now let me show you what that $60 bag actually does to your soil, because the damage underneath is worse than the grubs. Most bags contain imidacloprid or chlorantriniloprol or trichlorphon. The first two are neonicotinoid pesticides. The third is an organophosphate. All three were developed for commercial agriculture, repackaged for residential lawns, and marketed with happy graphics of green grass. Neonicotinoids kill grubs over 3 to 6 weeks depending on soil temperature. During that same window, they also kill earthworms, beneficial nematodes, and most of the predatory beetles that would have eaten the grubs naturally. 40% of native bee species in North America nest in the ground. Almost every one of them passes through soil that has been treated with neonicotinoid grub killer at some point in its life cycle. The label says apply in the evening when bees are not foraging. The label does not mention that the chemicals persist in the soil for weeks, where ground nesting bees emerge every morning and absorb the residue. Once the soil micropopulation is gone, the Japanese beetles return the next summer to lay eggs in dirt that now has zero biological resistance. The grub population in the following year is often larger than the one the homeowner just paid $60 to kill. The chemical industry counts on this cycle. It is why grub killer is one of the most repeat purchase products in residential lawn care. The spoon test. Before you treat anything, confirm you actually have grubs. Get a kitchen spoon. Dig down 2 inches at the edge of the worst brown patch. Pull up a piece of soil about the size of a softball. Break it apart with your fingers. White C-shaped grubs the size of your fingernail. Count them. Less than 5 means a normal background population. No treatment needed. 5 to 10 means a problem starting. More than 10 means an emergency. Dig in 3 different spots because grubs are never evenly distributed. One more sign. Skunks, raccoons, or crows tearing up small patches of turf at night. They are not damaging the lawn. They are eating the grubs underneath. If chunks of turf are flipped over every morning, the population is large enough that local wildlife found it before you did. If you have made it this far, you understand grub biology better than 99% of homeowners standing in the garden center reading the back of a $60 bag. Subscribe and share this with someone whose lawn is lifting off the ground like carpet right now. Now, what I just walked you through handles grub diagnosis and treatment, but lawn care is one bill out of dozens that most households are overpaying every month. I put together a complete protocol covering 60 hacks just like this one, each one replacing an expensive product or service with something that costs almost nothing. Households running the full system are saving over $4,000 a year. The link is in the description. But stay right here, because the recipe and the one mistake that ruins everything are coming next. The recipe, 4 ingredients. Together they create an environment grubs cannot survive while leaving every beneficial organism untouched. 2 tablespoons of cold-pressed neem oil per gallon. The active compound azadirachtin disrupts the molting process in soft-bodied larvae. Grubs cannot complete their next developmental stage. Within hours of exposure, they stop feeding. Within 24 hours, the population collapses. Neem has been studied extensively by the USDA and by the University of California Integrated Pest Management Program. It affects only soft-bodied juvenile insects while leaving adult beneficials, earthworms, bees, beetles, unharmed. One critical detail, cold-pressed neem only. Refined neem oil has had most of the azadirachtin removed during processing. It looks the same on the shelf, costs the same, and does nothing. The smell tells the truth. Real cold-pressed neem has a strong, almost sulfur-like odor. Refined neem is almost odorless. No smell, no effect. 1 teaspoon of plain liquid dish soap per gallon. The soap emulsifies the neem. Without a surfactant, the oil floats on the water and never reaches the grubs underground. Use plain dish soap, not antibacterial. The antibacterial variety contains compounds that disrupt soil microbes. 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses per gallon. The simple sugars feed the soil microbes that compete with grub populations for resources, accelerating the natural collapse of any survivors. The molasses also thickens the mix slightly, helping the neem cling to the soil instead of leaching past the grub zone. $2 at the grocery store. 1 gallon of warm water between 90 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm water dissolves the neem in molasses efficiently and helps the mix penetrate deeper. Above 110 degrees, the neem compounds start breaking down. Body temperature is roughly the right target. Mix all 4 in a clean bucket. Stir for 2 minutes until the neem fully emulsifies. 1 gallon treats about 500 square feet. Application. Apply between 6 and 8 p.m. on a day when soil temperature is above 60 degrees. Grubs feed most actively in the evening when they rise closer to the surface. Daytime treatments miss the active feeding window. Use a watering can or low-pressure pump sprayer, not a pressurized hose end sprayer, which applies too fast for the neem to penetrate. Pour slowly across the infested area and immediately after water lightly with plain water. A 1/4 inch pushes the mix down into the root zone where the grubs are feeding. Within 4 to 6 hours, the grubs stop feeding. Within 12 hours, the population is collapsing. Within 24 hours, the brown patches stop spreading. Repeat once, 14 days later, to catch any grubs that were too deep on day 1. The optimal window is late August through mid-September, when this year's larvae are still small and feeding aggressively in the upper inch of soil. By October, they burrow due deeper to overwinter and become much harder to reach. Spring applications work, but take 1 extra round, the mistake that guarantees they come back. Almost every homeowner does this. Reseeds the damaged patches immediately after treatment. The soil under those patches still contains dead grub remains, chewed root tissue, and a temporarily empty patch of perfect egg-laying soil. Every Japanese beetle and June bug in the area can smell that soil from hundreds of feet away. They lay the next generation of eggs directly into the patch the homeowner just reseeded. By August, the new grass is being eaten from below before it establishes. The rule is absolute. No reseeding for at least 6 weeks after treatment. The soil needs to rebuild its microbial population so it stops smelling like a nursery to egg-laying beetles. After 6 weeks, the chemical signal fades and the patches can be reseeded safely. Use compost as a top dressing, not synthetic starter fertilizer. The salt content in synthetic kills the same microbes the lawn needs to suppress next year's grubs. The compost actively repels egg-laying beetles. That is the long-term solution the chemical industry will never sell you. 4 habits that keep grubs below the damage threshold permanently. Apply beneficial nematodes once a year in late summer. Microscopic worms that hunt grub larvae underground. $20 per application. They establish a self-sustaining population if the soil supports them. Mow tall Diender 3.5 to 4 inches for cool season, 3 inches for warm season. Adult beetles prefer to lay eggs in short sunlit grass where the soil warms easily. Tall grass shades the soil and makes the lawn less attractive as an egg-laying site. Water deeply and infrequently. 1 inch per week beats 15 minutes per day. Frequent shallow watering keeps the top inch moist, which is exactly where beetles want to deposit eggs. And reduce porch lighting during July and August. Japanese beetles and June bugs are strongly attracted to bright outdoor light at night. A brightly lit house during peak beetle season pulls in dramatically more egg-laying adults than a darker yard. Switch to motion-activated lighting or amber bulbs. The chemistry inside that $60 bag kills grubs over 3 to 6 weeks, while destroying the soil biology that was naturally suppressing the beetle population, guaranteeing worse reinfestation of next summer and another $60 purchase next August. The chemistry inside a $4 kitchen mix kills grubs in 24 hours through azadirachtin disruption, while feeding the soil microbes that make the lawn naturally resistant to the next generation of beetles. One creates a recurring purchase cycle that never ends. The other breaks the cycle in a single season. Hundreds of millions of dollars in annual grub control revenue depend on you never mixing 2 tablespoons of cold-pressed neem oil into a gallon of warm water. $60 bags depend on you believing that killing grubs requires a neonicotinoid that wipes out everything underground. And next, August's repeat purchase depends on you never learning that reseeding too early and using synthetic fertilizer on the bare patches is what invites the beetles back. This knowledge did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it worked too completely for anyone to build a yearly repeat purchase around it. Azadirachtin does not care about product labeling. Soil microbes do not negotiate with chemical company lobbying. And a bottle of cold-pressed neem oil has never charged a licensing fee. If this video changed how you think about the brown patches in your lawn, the $60 bag in your garage, or the $4 neem oil at the garden center, then subscribe and share it now. Every single share puts this knowledge in front of someone whose lawn is being eaten from below right now. And every subscription keeps this channel digging deeper into the secrets they thought were sealed forever. The full protocol with all 60 hacks is in the description. Everything in the industry buried in one place.